Well, thank you all for stopping by. Today, I'd like to answer all your questions regarding evaluating a property if you intend to do a fix and flip on it. If you're new to those terms, what that means is you buy a property that's in need of some type of repairs. I mean, it could be pretty significant, roof, foundation, things like that, or it could be just cosmetic. I mean, you want to do a remodel to brighten it up and modernize it, or anything in between. The math is the purchase price, the amount of money that you're going to put into the rehab and the repairs, and then, of course, the price you eventually sell it for. And hopefully, after going through all this, you make some money at the end. This information is certainly something that any real estate investor, if they don't already know, I'm sure that they're in the process of learning. But I also think this information can be valuable for individuals here in the Austin area who might have a house in one of those subdivisions where you see all of this activity. You see the contractors, you see the activity where they're fixing up and rehabbing houses across the street, down the block, whatever the case might be. If you're able to begin to understand how the real estate investing economics work, you're going to be in a position to kind of understand, and if you get an offer from someone who wants to rehab your home, why the price point is where it's at. And also, if you understand some of these concepts, you could potentially undertake the project yourself to increase the value of your own home. Well, anyway, enough said on the introduction. Let's get right to it. I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of see this Excel spreadsheet that I put together to evaluate a potential deal. So what I've got here is an example. On this side is we have the variables. And in this example, I'm going to use an estimated ARV after everything's been repaired of $425,000. Keeping to the standard 70% rule, the purchase price of the house is here, and then this is the estimated repairs. So all of that together, we're talking $300,000. The other assumptions is that we're going to use a hard money lender at 12%. Now, before you freak out, if you're not familiar with that, it's a 12% interest rate, but it's for a much shorter term. We're estimating that we can get all this done in 6 months. And you need to pull out a calculator. I don't have it figured on this one, but if you pull that out, you figure out that your APR is a lot less than the 12%. This lender is going to give us a 75% loan to value. So in other words, we're going to need to put down 25% of the value for them to give us a loan on the remaining 75%. I'm going to estimate closing costs at 1.5%, and then the assignment fee is typically if we have a wholesaler and we have to pay them for the contract. In this case, we're zero out there. Now, the other cost, this is going to affect the purchase price of the house. The other cost you have is your actual rehab. And in this case, we're going to use the same lender. They're going to put it all together, the same 12%, and then a 6-month term. And then on the sell transaction, we're estimating the commissions and then the closing. On insurance, I just put a flat $2,000 in there. This is, again, for example purposes only, and certainly if you're looking at a specific house, you'd want to get as specific as possible. Okay, so here's how the deal breaks down. Once again, they're going to finance 75% of the value, and that's going to require us to put $60,000 down. There are going to be other out-of-pocket expenses on the front end just to get this thing going. One's going to be closing cost. Remember, I estimated that over here at 1.5%, so you got $3,600. Now, the interest costs are the interest on this loan on this $180,000. The reason I put it here is depending upon the terms of the loan, you are going to be required to make payments. That's going to enable them that if you do miss a payment or you fall behind, that gives them the ability to foreclose. So the minimum payment is going to be interest only. So what I've done here is through this math here at 6%, this calculates the entire 6-month term of interest. So if you factor that in on the front end, you have a way of planning how much money out of pocket. And then that insurance cost, remember I picked that up down here at $2,000. So you're on the buy transaction, we're estimating a little over $16,000. So if you put those two numbers together, the down payment at $60,000 and then the $16,000, you're looking at a total cash invested out of pocket, your money in at $76,000, $76,400. And of course, these are just percentages to kind of factor in to see if it's something that works. The percent your money out of pocket represents only 31% of the purchase price, and then the percentage of the ARV. Since remember the ARV is higher, it's 425. That only represents 18%. This, of course, is your rehab $60,000 budget, and then your interest cost over the course of the 6 months. So the total amount of money that's going to be borrowed, which would be the hard money to purchase the house and then the rehab money to pay for the contractors, you're looking at $243,000. Again, same percentages. That represents 101% of the purchase price, because remember we purchased the price at $240,000, so we got $243,000 because we're financing that rehab. The idea being, once the rehab done, the value of the house is going to be higher. We're estimating at $425,000. And then the percent of the ARV, this lender is going to be pretty secure, with only a 57% out on a ARV of 425, because if they did have to foreclose and finish the rehab, that's a pretty decent kind of percentage from the lender's point of view. Okay, further breakdowns here. Your initial cash and then the rehab, that's your 140. Which would be, the cash out of pocket and then the rehab, and then the same kind of thing, percent of the purchase and then percent of the ARV, and then the total cash with interest would be the 316.4. Now, when we get to the closing, this is where the money's made. Remember what we've done, we bought the house, we borrowed $60,000 to do the repairs. Hopefully when we're all done, we're at budget. I mean, we'll get to adjustments here in a minute, but we're anticipating being able to sell the house for $425,000. So remember the commissions we estimated at 6%, 3% on the buyer, 3% on the seller side. Closing costs, again, just a straight 1.5% estimate at $6,300. Hard money, you're going to pay back that hard money loan of $180,000. You've already factored in the interest, so that's already been paid. But then you're going to, one thing I didn't talk about is this lender also wanted points. They wanted 2 percentage points to the sale price of the house. So that's the $8,500. And then the initial cash, you've already put that in, but you're going to pay yourself back, and then you're going to pay back the rehab cost, which is the cost of the rehab plus the interest on that. So the total out, okay, you've got $425,000 coming in. Your total out is $360,000, which gives you a projected profit of $64,000. So now here's where it gets interesting. Is your return on your initial cash. You've only put in $76,000, but you got back that original investment plus 64, which represents an 84.6% return on your cash, the initial cash. And then, of course, the return on the total cash, that represents all of the money that's in, all of the money that's in play, including the lender's money. Now, if you got through this and decided you wanted to buy the house, turn it into a rental or something like that, you've already got $76,000 in it. But if you could come up with $252,000, one is you'd pay everybody off, and then you would own the house, free and clear. Now, this could also be a refinance, because remember, at this point, you've already done the rehab, so the house is valued at $425,000. You've already got $76,000 in of your own money. But the amount that would need to be financed is $252,000 on a house that's estimated worth $425,000. There's probably no lender out there that wouldn't give you money on that. So if you wanted to, refinance it at current rates, you would certainly save a lot, over the term of the loan. So this number is simply this buyout number plus your initial cash. So basically, if you did decide to buy the house, you'd only have $328,000 in it. Okay, now now all of this is great if it works this way. But the two things, or the two areas that most people are going to underestimate or overestimate is going to be this ARV. They're going to anticipate being able to sell it for one number, and when they get all this work done, they find out that it's a different number, usually lower. And then the other is on the rehab. You're going to estimate it at one number, and then your actual cost is going to be different. What I encourage you to do is take a look at what happens as projected profit if we do, vary on this. If instead of selling it at $425,000, let's say we're only able to get $380,000. That's going to drop our projected profit, down to $23,000, because we just lost $45,000 in that sale price. Same thing can happen. Let me put that back to the original. Same thing can happen on the rehab. You budgeted at $60,000, but let's say you go $80,000. $20,000 over budget is going to reduce your projected profit. Make sense? Same thing on term. You estimated it 6 months, but it winds up taking you 9 months. That's going to impact your projected profit. Agent commissions are negotiable. I would highly encourage you, especially on the sell side. It's tempting to try to do it yourself. Use one of these discount brokers and all that. But what you're probably going to find is if you go that route, it may seem like you're saving some money on the front end. But if it winds up taking you longer to sell the house, even if you can at all, and the only marketing option you got is reducing the price, all you're doing is throwing away or losing your projected profit here. This column here is something I put together for lenders to kind of evaluate. In this case, if somebody was wanting to be a private lender and get into it, to effectively kind of like they're not actively involved in the rehab, they're just loaning you the money. Their total cash, they wanted to finance both pieces, the actual purchase of the house and then the rehab itself. They'd be looking at financing or loaning you $260,000. They would wind up making a little shy of $11,000 on interest on the purchase. The rehab, they're going to earn about $5,000. Remember, they got, in this example, they got 2 percentage points, another $8,500. And then, let's see here, if we stayed to the original budget, we wouldn't have additional interest. That's if it went out additional 3 months. But they're going to loan you $260,000 and they're going to make $24,000. That cash on cash return is 9.3%. And with a 6-month term, the actual APR of what they're earning when you factor in everything they've got here, they're earning like an 18% return on their investment. That's why the lender side of it can get lucrative if you got somebody that knows what they're doing on the rehab. Actually, from a lender's point of view, they don't care if you go longer. It costs the rehabber more money, but the lender is going to make that money. Anyway, so covered a lot of ground here, but the idea was to put it up on a visual thing so you can begin to kind of see how this all fits together. This is a worksheet that I've put together and make available to all of my clients that are thinking about getting into this. If you had any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. This is designed to be more informational. There's a lot of folks out there that provide guidance and training on, fix and flip. I think there's several TV stations that are kind of effectively devoted to that. It's an area that can be very, attractive, especially, let's see, if we go back here to our original budget. If we were to stick to budget and you come back here to an 84% return on your cash on cash in 6 months, that's why this is so attractive, because if you can do this, if you can pull this out, you estimate that ARV correctly, you pull off the rehab, at or under budget, it is possible to see some pretty nice returns. But more times than not, it's not going to go 100% as planned, everything that changes here is going to impact that actual profit. So. Okay, well let me switch back to the camera now. All right, well, hopefully that has shed some light on some of the questions you might have regarding the fix and flip process and then the economics involved with it. If you did have additional questions on it, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can send me a message here through Facebook, through the messenger, or you can call me directly, text or email, whatever works for you. I am actively involved in the Austin area, real estate. I am a licensed realtor with Keller Williams. So whatever your needs might be, consider me, or at least I would hope that you would begin to consider me a information source so that you can make better decisions and accomplish your real estate goals. I hope you all have a great day.